Thank you for tuning in to episode 21 of the Total Relationship Podcast. I'm Kim Kokenauer, joined by my co-host Tyson Ray, the author of The Total Relationship and CEO of Form Wealth Advisors. Today, we're tackling two powerful concepts at the core of client decision-making: value and worth. Understanding the difference between value and worth doesn't just clarify your client's choices, it empowers you to guide them towards the meaningful financial stewardship principles that you are aiming to build in your practice through the total relationship. So we're going to explore how to recognize this distinction can help you create a deeper and more impactful client relationship and support your clients in achieving their contentment and their wealth. Let's get into it. Tyson, clients often use worth and value interchangeably, but there are differences between the two. Worth is often measured in numbers and value gets a little bit deeper. So give us your perspective on those, value and worth.
The advisor needs to themselves catch and understand and be monitoring what the difference is between value and worth. So definitionally, net worth, right? These are numbers. This is what a portfolio is worth today. Value is a feeling. Value is something that you can experience. It has an emotion attached to it. And in this discussion, it's the difference between value and worth when it comes to the principles around how portfolios fluctuate, and fully separately, value and worth comes into black ink on white paper compared to what a client can take out and experience and value in their life with what these resources can buy.
And so you've seen this happen before. So when a client focuses solely on their worth, they call, you've often referred to this as wealth without contentment. Can you share about your experience with the widowed client who had millions in net worth, but she wasn't able to enjoy her wealth, and it was just the black ink on white paper and a source of anxiety and stress in her life?
Yeah, so I was in my early 20s in my career and was the junior advisor to a senior partner. And I got assigned to the client to go have the review of the portfolio and what it was worth and what it was doing. And I would go to her apartment in this, senior living center. And she was so conservative and raised kind of right around the Great Depression that, she was, she wouldn't open up a soda if she couldn't share it with somebody because she couldn't finish the whole thing, as an example. And
Wow.
so I would meet with her, and over the first couple of years, I started realizing that she didn't care to talk so much about the portfolio or what things were worth. She cared to tell me stories of her life or things that she was experiencing. She was very interested to know what was going on with my kiddos because she didn't have any kids. And she had more than once said she would have traded this whole portfolio of what it was worth to have, that she wished she would have had kids. It was a decision that, she looked back on and wished now that she had other people in her life to be sharing things with. And over time, what I realized is each meeting was completely different. From she was either talking in terms of gratefulness and things that she was thankful for, things that she had done, people she had memories with, trips she had taken, places that she had lived. And then I'd show up in meetings and it was all about things she wished she would have done, like having kids, things that she looked back on and now couldn't do. And more than once, she referred to this multi-million-dollar portfolio as black ink on white paper to her because she couldn't do anything that would add value in her life now.
Yeah.
And I think the mistake that too many clients make, and I think the advisor's job is to help really let clients see the difference between those two things, between facts and feelings, is, when you allow clients to value more money, they're not happy. And really what they're doing is they're sacrificing things that they could be enjoying with their life if they took some of that money out and spent it. Then a growing portfolio just becomes a new high watermark that now you're disappointed if it doesn't go higher.
Mm.
Um, and this client kind of taught me that. And I've used those words ever since, that this is just black ink on white paper until we turn it into something that you value.
Well, and that also kind of leads into the topic of helping protect clients from themselves. Like you've mentioned before, you've had clients that held on to stocks for sentimental reasons and they've dropped to nearly zero. And it can be tricky. It can be, you have to really understand the client and understand the relationship you have with them to navigate that situation, to protect the client from themselves. But how can you help teach others? To do that, to walk that line well.
Yeah, Nick Murray has talked a lot about this in his newsletter that I love. And I'm not sure this is my paraphrased version of it, but basically, the higher the worth of the positions become, the less valuable they are. And
Mm.
ironically, when portfolios sell off or markets sell off, the lower these individual holdings go in worth, the greater value that they are. And it's counterintuitive. Um, and so that's one aspect of it, which is basically things go up and then people want more of them. And it's just like, wait, no, the value isn't there that it was when we originally got it. Um, Differently from uh, clients can anchor their feelings
Mm.
or can value a company, whether it's a product that they like or it's an actual holding that they've had for years or they inherited. And when we deal with that situation and we identify that clients are valuing, emotionally feeling, I remember a client that, I think this was in the book, that one of the holdings that she had was Heinz ketchup, and it had gone up, and the analyst that we used to buy it now said to sell it. This is back when I was doing individual stocks, which for everybody that's listening to this was back when they had to call in to find out what the stock was doing. You actually could add value in the stocks.
They didn't just see it on their TV or hop online and get it real quick?
Yeah. So point being, though, is that we got called and said, hey, we need to sell this. And because she valued Heinz ketchup in the sense that she liked the taste of it, she valued, she asked, well, what ketchup am I going to buy then? And that's where, again, the disconnect of owning something and valuing a brand. I remember back in the day, we're going to buy Coke versus going to buy Pepsi. Well, I don't like Pepsi. Well, Pepsi was a better value, but they were valuing things from their experience, not necessarily based on finance.
Yeah.
Things can be sentimental. They inherited this. My dad worked at that company for forever. And one of the ways we deal with that is like, okay, well, if that's sentimental, if that's something that you value, here, we'll have one share. And we can, back in the day, print a little certificate of that one share, and you can frame it and put it on the wall because now you still own it, and you can see it, and it's tangible, and now it can be something that you value as an inheritance. But when it comes to your net worth, we're going to be paying attention to risks and returns and all the stewardship principles that go into wealth management that is different from how you value things emotionally.
I think one important part on that is you recognizing that that's an emotional piece for them, acknowledging that that relationship exists, and doing something to capture that, and something as simple as putting it in a stock certificate and framing it, that holds so much value to the client beyond what that stock is even worth, because you hit to the heart of what the client was really looking for, is just they wanted to have that reminder. And so if the stock went away, they would still have something that could remind them of their dad's legacy at that company, or their favorite ketchup, like whatever that might be. You created value in that client outside of the stock position they held.
Yeah, and again, this, kind of like our previous podcast on appeasing people, this was all things that we've learned. The client that valued, I remember there was a bank holding that I had two. They were actually, one was divorced and one was widowed in two different states, that ended up holding about the same $500,000 in this concentrated regional bank. And one let me talk about, let's diversify this. And this is before I learned this language of the difference between feelings and valuing things versus net worth and facts. One let me diversify them out of it. And the other one valued it so much they didn't want to let go. And so we sold a little bit every year. We had a plan. And the problem was, is what we sold out of the stock for those 2 years actually ended up doing better. And her son ended up getting involved in telling me, nope, we're going to hold it and we're just paying taxes. And it was, she's had it for years. And my dad worked at the bank, was on the board of trustees. And it was all this value, emotional attachment that now mom and son had. And so we stopped. And then the financial crisis hit, and that was one of the banks that went under. And throughout my 25 years, often any of these concentrated positions that they value, especially if they've done well, it's only a matter of time before, in history being what it is that if they have any concentrated position that they've owned for 10, 15, 20 years, they're lucky.
Yeah.
Because more often than not, these companies do well until they don't. And sometimes when they don't do well, it's quite painful because some other competition or some other technology came on and is now taking market share away in ways that they never come back from.
Yeah. Well, and our culture and society really glorifies the pursuit of that. And it, more is more often what people are going for. And so, and it often does not lead to happiness. So let's discuss the clients and the value perspective of avoiding the riches mindset. Kind of the concept of wealth stewardship. How can advisors help their clients use their wealth to create meaningful experiences and impact in their families, and provide that value, even though it is taking away from their portfolio worth?
Yeah, I think one of the ways, and this, it's an evolution with the client, and this goes back to the concept of form. And it's like, okay, in your life, how you're caring for your parents or how you're caring for your loved ones, and if we meet the threshold that those things are being met, wonderful. Your occupation and what you're doing in your life, especially if your last occupation is retirement, and what that cash flow need is, and if we accomplish that, that's great. And then the R in form is the recreation, that those things change, and people grow in and out of them. And then the M being the mission and things in life. And a lot of times people don't get to that. And that's kind of giving while you're living. And that's the impact you want to make in the world. And why I say that is that what we're trying to monitor and what the total relationship is trying to focus on is helping the client utilize their net worth, utilize these assets they have, these facts and figures, to provide value in all those areas. And what we're looking for some is to try and help them realize that if they reach, and sometimes it's counterintuitive, clients, most of our clients were frugal, they were savers, and that's why they built this net worth. But at some point, they've saved it for later. They've saved it for to enjoy down the road, and they never allow themselves to start taking that out.
Yeah.
And so the advisor's job is to help them realize that when they reached what we call their funded level of contentment, when they've reached the level that they don't want to do anything else. You've asked, do you want to take another trip? Do you want to take another vacation? I have some clients that just love being in their homes, that are paid for. They don't have a very expensive lifestyle. And that they have a very low funded level, or a very low contentment level for the funds that they have. And to avoid them starting to value the portfolio is often we help them, here, let's draw a line in the sand. The portfolio today is $2 million, whatever it grows between, now and next year, if it grows, let's take that out and let you enjoy it in some way to either spend on yourself or give away or make a difference. In some ways, I've had clients, and this is how we get to funding the mission, which is really what I get excited about, is I've had some of the clients write some of the biggest checks to charities or loved ones or both by doing that, because you're giving clients permission to draw a line in the sand. And if you don't do that, the mistake you will be making for that client is you'll start anchoring they value more net worth that never becomes something valuable.
Yeah. Well, and that's the shift in the same language of the permission business. You have a responsibility and a privilege as an advisor to say no, but you also get to say yes. You're giving clients permission to live fully, and here at Form, it goes through the acronym. And your focus is on the client's value and helping them use their resources to support what matters to them most. At the end of the day, that is a huge shift of taking the relationship focus from the worth and focusing it actually onto the value. And that's where you really build that total relationship by bringing it in together and focusing on building the value. And that in turn gives the client their opportunity to live their best life because they're not focusing on the money.
Well, I like to say I've never been to a funeral where they talk about the net worth.
Hmm.
And I also would tell you a lot of people that value the net worth aren't really happy,
Mm,
even though the net worth is increasing. So therefore their value or their happiness, they're accomplishing that goal doesn't necessarily get better. They
yeah.
just have more to lose effectively, or they get more upset when things bounce around.
Hmm.
And every funeral I've ever been at, the deceased is being recognized for that which they valued and the difference they made in
Hmm.
people's lives, not how much money they had in some account or what black ink on white paper read.
Yeah, it makes a big difference when it comes down to it. And thankfully, we have the privilege of walking alongside people at all different stages of life. But as an advisor, you have the opportunity to be reminded that our clients' lives do end, and it is your privilege to help them live out their life and their legacy well. And you build that over time by deepening that relationship. And I like the word privilege because I really do feel like it is a privilege that we get to do that. So, Tyson, any other words of wisdom you want to leave our listeners with today?
Is to try and, in your own language as an advisor, or even if you're listening to this as a client, try and purify those words that we don't value money, we don't value net worth. Uh, it's not saying what's the value of the portfolio today, right? It's this is what things are worth, and do you value uh, helping the grandkids with education? Do you value taking that vacation? Do you value being debt free? Do you value that vacation? And often they'll tell you things in the past that they valued, right? And our job is to try and increase the value that they have in life and memories and experiences, and taking the net worth and transforming it into what the purpose of that money was for in the first place, which is to make life better and enjoy what they have, and build and deepen that total relationship by differentiating those words. Because if the value is just money, they're not happy. You're not happy as the advisor. You're constantly trying to make more in a world that bounces all over the place and with uncertainties and things. And then when they're dead with more, they're still dead. You can't take it with you.
As we wrap up, remember that you get to be the guiding voice of reason this week with your clients. You wear a lot of hats as the advisor. You get to be a teacher and a coach and an advocate for your client and helping them see the difference between value and worth in every conversation. So continue to educate your clients on the difference between those two terms and the concept of stewarding their wealth and giving while they're living and being in the right seat to help them say yes to live their best life. Thank you again for tuning into episode 21 of the Total Relationship Podcast. If you haven't already, please click, follow, and subscribe to be the first to know when new episodes are available. New episodes are available every other Tuesday. And check out the episode description for links for free resources and to connect with Tyson and me on LinkedIn. Make sure you're following on the Total Relationship page on LinkedIn for a community of like minded advisors. Until next time.